You had mentioned, the stories that go into making shoes. You were a part of, possibly one of the greatest stories in sports history. You got a chance to connect with LeBron. Would you be able to talk about that? Meeting him, making his first shoe and being a high schooler and looking at where he's at today.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was very fortunate to be in a situation where I was asked to go to meet with him, find out what his needs are, find out what his desires are, who he was as a person. Um, and in the very first meeting, because it was a compressed timeline, so had to quickly find out. Typically, I don't ask anybody, whether an elite or everyday athlete, directly, hey, what are you looking for? But in this case, I needed to get to the bottom of it, and LeBron was and still is a very um, intuitive person, and so even as a high school kid, he was very directive about what he was looking for. And I asked him what the most important thing to him was from a performance standpoint, and he said comfort, which was awesome. Was super cool for me to hear because I'd never heard that. Usually back then it was lighter weight, better traction, stability, whatever. And for him, it was comfort. And so, asked him what his most comfortable shoe was. At the time, it was the Adidas Pro model. If you go back, if you Google LeBron senior year, St. Vincent, St. Mary, you'll see him wearing multiple different types of shoes and from different brands. And often that was us sending him shoes to try so that I could then get feedback from him about what he liked, what he didn't like, to speed up that process. And ended up coming up with some innovation from that idea of comfort, both a lining. There's an innovative lining on the inside for comfort, and then also underfoot, something that Nike had never done before, of a combination of airbags and foam and how it all went together. So it was very specifically engineered for his performance desires. And then at the same time, during that process, getting to know him, getting to know the LeBron that he wanted the world to know about, not necessarily the one that was being written about. And that's kind of the funny thing is a lot of people, a lot of the media picked up on the Hummer, and the shoe was designed by the Hummer, which couldn't be further from the truth. The eyelet was designed by the Hummer. That was about it. And the rest of it's just him. His AAU team was called they called themselves the Soldiers, and the Oakland Soldiers. And so the idea was this of being a modern day soldier boot for the court. And so a lot of that went into the design. And so this, again, the performance of comfort, how he was on the court, us giving him something even more than he had thought about in terms of, the protection and the stability and the flow of the shoe, how it moved with his foot. And then also the aesthetic of who we believed he was, and showing all that to him. Yeah, I mean, I guess the addict of, the rest is history, is true in this case. It was an amazing project to be a part of, and I'm glad that all things worked out. Because I couldn't imagine being anywhere else, honestly. Because other athletes, I mean, look, Adidas is an amazing company. It was around before Nike. I have an amazing respect for that company and the founders and the history of it. The current athletes, Anthony Edwards. There's so many. It's just such an amazing brand. But at the end of the day, you can't really put your finger on an athlete that transcended the court or transcended the field of what they played on, as much as an athlete from Nike has done repetitively. And so I'm just glad that LeBron came onto Nike, because Nike has the power to transcend sport and and I think LeBron, talking with him and hearing his plans and his dreams and his goals and his ambitions as a high school kid, I was like, man, he has to be Nike, because he's not going to get all that done with another company. It just wasn't going to, I didn't believe it was going to happen. And I just didn't want that to be the case, because he's, he was just contributing at such a high level. He continues to contribute to the world at such a high level. So.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Thank you for everything that you contributed because, like I say, but by me being from Cleveland, it was just, I don't know, an honor to be a part of that story. I felt like all people from Cleveland feel that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just to see them grow like that and still going, so that's amazing.